Hey Fearless Flippers, welcome in. Thanks for checking in. I'm Kyle Stanley. You are listening or watching Fearless Flipping, depending upon if you're on the podcast or the YouTube channel, and I am really excited, even more so excited than I was when we first introduced Valentin Pits, because this time he's providing some crazy good value for you as he takes us through this amazing deal analyzer. Make sure that you truly watch and ingest all the information of not only how he's using this deal analyzer, but why he's using it as well. And then afterwards, I'm going to encourage you to go to the show notes, check it out. He's got a link right there for you that's going to take you straight to that deal analyzer. That's going to be at www.fearlessflipping.com/Valentin deal, VALENTIN deal. So let's get to it, engage, watch, and then go to the show notes. All right, back at it with Valentin, and as you can see, guys, or if you're listening, we do have some technology in front of us, so if you are listening to this on the podcast, you're going to get some great value, but I definitely encourage you to go to the YouTube channel, watch this. We're going to share his screen on this really cool deal analyzer that he has that anyone can use. In fact, Valentin's going to show us how you can download it before we end the session today. But before we even get to this deal analyzer and how to use it, I really want the audience to know why. Why am I analyzing a deal before I ever show up to the property? Why not just go over there and say, hey, we'll add a pool and we'll add a bathroom and we'll just fix it up really nice and someone's going to buy it for $300,000, even though every other house in the neighborhood is only selling for $180,000. So what is the importance of doing that?
So first of all, here's my importance and significance to it. And I'm proud of this. In the 4 years that I've been doing this full-time fix and flip, I have not once, lost money on a flip. Wow. So we always turn a profit.
How many flips do you think you've done?
Oh my gosh. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
You think it might be even close to triple digits?
Not triple digits,
okay,
no,
gotcha.
no,
right.
no, we're not at the triple digits. 4 years going on 4 years now.
Still 4 years of never losing money. Tough to say that in any other investment. So
Definitely.
That's awesome. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, yeah, and I credit that to knowing my numbers, and that's what you have to do. Numbers will not lie to you. You can't manipulate the number. Well, you can, but you're going to lose money. So that's what I want to share here is the importance of knowing those numbers and also being credible with your realtor, with the seller if you're not working with a realtor at the time, with whoever you're working with in your network. If they ask you, what are we going to pay for? What are you going to offer me? And you stumble and you say, give me a day or 2 days, you lost them. I mean, you have to know your numbers and you have to know them now. And that's very significant, having this type of application to give somebody something right away that's accurate.
Why do you think that is? If I'm a seller and I'm saying, hey, I need to get out of my house here in 14 days, and you're standing here in front of me and you say, okay, let me go back to my desktop and just run some numbers. I guess I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the seller. Why do you think that happens?
He's going to perceive, in my experience, that you don't know exactly what you're doing, that you need to go ask. When you take your car to a dealership for a trade-in, they'll do a walk around with you and they'll give you a number because they know their stuff. In this business, you have to be the exact same way. You have to know your stuff. And if you don't, they're going to perceive exactly that. You don't know your stuff. And you're going to lose instant credibility.
Absolutely. And, there's probably a lot of fear in people that are thinking about putting in their first offer and sitting right there in front of the seller and thinking, what if my number is wrong? So what do they do then? So then
so before we even put in any offers, we're going to predetermine as close as possible what every single number is going to be. And then that's how we're going to present offers confidently, because we're going to predetermine. We're going to go to the title company and ask them what their fees are in general. We're going to talk to our realtors, ask them what their, can you sell it for 5%, 4%, commission? And just determine even wire fee, notary fees. We're going to know in and out every single fee that gets involved on the buying end of the HUD statement, HUD 1, and on the selling end as well.
Okay, so the big thing I want everyone to take away from this is that we're not going in with emotion, we're going in with numbers. And if the numbers don't line up, then there's no deal to be had, or is there?
Or is there, right?
Yeah.
So it depends. That's a subjective question. Sometimes I have a standard profit that we want to make. in some sense, I'll take less because I have a really good crew that I want to keep busy. But then again, that comes with experience. So, but the numbers won't lie. So you have to adjust your profit margin. And maybe you could pay more. Ask your realtor to take a smaller commission. Get your own realtor license. So you only have to pay 2.5% or 2% to the other side. So you can pay more, but you got to see where you can save. Get cheaper money. Instead of paying 12% to a hard money lender, get down to 10%, 8% for private money.
Okay. So the next part, and we're going to get right into this piece of technology here that seems really awesome. I'm excited to see this. Essentially, where we're at in this process of bringing this up, to me, it sounds like you're sitting down. You've already had the phone call from either the realtor that had that lead, or someone called you from a piece of direct mail, a bandit sign, something that you had, and you found out, hey, I've got a potential deal here. Now you're sitting down. You've got the square footage. You've got the bedrooms and bath. You've got the address. You've checked the city records to make sure everything's in line. And now you're looking at this deal landline. Is that correct?
Correct. So I've determined all of that, and now I'm going to start plugging in my numbers that I feel, my rehab numbers, all of the numbers that I feel are going to go into it.
Okay. Well, let's see it. Go ahead and walk me through this. Show me this whole thing.
So the first step always is to determine we call it the ARV, the after repair value. So one of the ways, there are a few ways you could determine that. One of the ways is ask, a good, build a relationship with a few good realtors that know how to work with investors, and they'll do some comps for you, and they'll send that to you. If you don't have that access, talk to a title company. Usually, they'll give you a platform where you can actually do comparables on there for that subject property.
Okay.
Or just go Zillow, Redfin, and just make sure that you actually pull comparables.
Don't look at this estimate.
Yeah, don't look at this estimate. Don't do that. Make sure it's the same bedroom, bathroom count or similar. And so determining the ARV is obviously going to be, that's the most speculative part of this whole process, and we don't want to speculate. So once that's determined, we're going to just go ahead and plug in that it's going to be worth $220,000. Again, the way I did that is because I pulled a few comparables that I've seen that are similar. If they're not rehab properties, I'm going to make the proper adjustments and say, okay, but mine has new windows and mine's going to have a new kitchen. So I already know how to make those adjustments as far as value goes, and I'm going to go ahead and make those adjustments.
Okay, perfect.
Then what we're going to try and do is we want to calculate what our maximum dollar amount that we can offer, the absolute max. So that's going to determine that. Yeah, it's a maximum allowed offer is MAO. Then plug in the profit. So what do you want to make? What's your criteria? What's your standard? What do you need to make? What are you willing to work for this flip? So we're going to just plug in 25,000. Then now we're if a seller has called us to go and look at the property, we want to kind of guesstimate what the repairs are going to be by asking them a few questions over the phone as far as the property's condition, and that should give us enough to at least determine how much repairs we're going to put into it. Then when I'm at the actual property and doing the walk around, I'm going to see what more I need to add, or if I overestimate, well, I'll leave the overestimating part. But that's where I'm going to actually make my adjustments. So this is really cool because you can actually, if you're new, you can actually go by category and just click exterior. How much are you estimating for demo, garage, the driveway, and just go all the way down for bathrooms. Because this, you can't think of anything. This will kind of keep you on track. If you're more experienced, what we just do is I just do a single estimate. So we're just going to put 35,000.
Okay.
Is what we're guessing this property is going to be. Then you're almost always going to go a little bit over budget, even if you're seasoned. It just happens. Things come up. So what is going to be your repair cushion? I recommend if someone newer is doing maybe their first flip, do a 10% repair cushion. And if you're more seasoned, then you could go 5% or 0 because pretty much the numbers.
I think that's super important there. Just because, you tell me, do you always feel like you're erring on the side of caution rather than trying to look at best case scenario? Are you looking at worst? Are you looking at in the middle? What are you kind of looking at in terms of evaluating
Yeah.
it.
So I work with private money investors, or even if you work with even any type of investor, a hard money investor, we have a responsibility to be good stewards of other people's money. So I always err on the side of caution. So I'll put some kind of repair cushion.
That's great.
Just to be responsible for someone else's money.
Okay.
Then from there, we're gonna just go on down, and this is where you want to pre-populate all the costs. So buying costs. You can go down to any title company. You can go to Fidelity National and say, "Can I get an estimate of your standard closing costs?" And they'll give you something. Or ask a realtor, "Can I get a mock-up net sheet, seller net sheet?" And then it's going to give you all of the closing costs that are going to be involved, both when you're buying and when you're selling. And you want to just plug those categories in, and then the numbers that the title company gave you or your realtor, pre-populate those in there.
Okay, awesome.
So back to the buying, there's a few categories here. The origination fee, those are our points. So if you're working with a hard money lender, typically it's about 3 points. So you're going to plug that in.
And so just so the audience knows, points are the percentage of whatever the all-in number is. So if someone's putting in $100,000 to fund your deal, 3 points is $3,000.
It's $3,000. So starting out, you're going to have some type of points that you're going to be accounting for. If you transition later on to private money, typically it's 0 points, and that's on $100,000. You just save $3,000 on bottom line. That's going to go to your profits. And then we're going to go to holding cost. This is where you have to be realistic. Again, ask your realtor or do your own research of what's the average days on market for that area. Is it 3 months? Is it 4 months? So we're going to put your holding period. This varies for me. Sometimes if I see that houses are really selling there, I'll just do 3 months because we can get it done in 4 weeks, and then I'll sell it real fast. If I'm stretching the price, the resale price, I'll account for 4 months. Also, Kyle, what I try and do is monthly. I look at the trends, and if I see the market is trending downwards just slightly, we're down 1%, then I'll put my holding time to 5 months. So that's another way to be cautious and not fool yourself and say, things aren't selling as fast. Let's crank it up to 6 months. Make those adjustments now on the buying end, and you don't want to pay for it later when you're trying to sell it.
So I think that's a really good point there. When the market is going down a little bit, you're adding in more time rather than reducing your ARV.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm confident in my ARV based on the comparables, I'm going to increase my hold time instead of the ARV.
That's good. Okay.
Then you're going to have utilities, so PG&E, water, account for that. Insurance, property tax for that time period. Start accounting for all of that, and then it'll tell you what your interest payment is. So this is the important part. So, you can negotiate that. It just varies on lender by lender. A lot of private money guys, we don't pay them on their interest monthly. It's just at the end of the sale. So that gives me the necessary cash flow that I need to keep going.
That
on
seems
a
like
volume
the popular
scale.
way that a lot of people do it is just a lump sum at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you had 10 properties, that's just $10,000 a month going out, and that straps you for cash flow.
I want to let you keep going, but I'm loving this so far just because what you mentioned, it takes away so much of the speculation. We see all these shows and everything out there where it's like, oh, we're going to sell for $200,000, we're going to put $35,000 into it, we're going to buy it for $100,000, which means we're going to make $65,000. No, you've got to have all these other costs. But to me, the new person, I'm sitting here wondering, what are all those costs? What are the things that I'm missing? And this has it all here in one location. No wonder you love this tool.
Broken down. Yeah, definitely. So then we have our selling costs, because those shows, like you said, they'll just give you the selling costs, 6% to the realtor. But
there's more.
There's more. So again, knowing what the title fees are going to be, escrow title fees are going to be, and pre-populating those. Like I said, down to the notary fee, down to the wire fee. If you're going to wire some stuff out, it's a $20, $30 wire fee. You don't plug that in, that's $20, $30 you didn't account for.
Sure.
So knowing everything, what you're paying as far as realty commission, right? And then it's going to total you out there. And then, I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't really just stop there. Is it a wholesale deal? If it is, you paid a wholesale fee, plug that in there on the buy end. Other costs, do you have overhead? Like we have an office and we have other things that we count as overhead. I plug that in here. How about marketing? That's the big thing. You know, you can't just take your profit and say I made 30 grand. Um, are you going to put some money back into your business? You know, are you going to be sustainable and take this for a long run? If you are, account for it on the buying end because you're gonna, you know, how much are you going to budget for marketing and account that on the buying end for that property itself.
Absolutely. Cool. I'm itching to see what it comes out with here for what we should offer.
So what it shows here. So now that's the cool part is well, we're not done yet.
Okay.
We have to still plug in other factors. So what interest rate are you paying?
Okay.
Here I put 10%. If you're working with hard money, 12%. You're not buying with cash, but are you putting anything down? All right. And if so, you have to determine, is it worth the savings of putting anything down, or are you going to call it cost of doing business and just finance it 100%? That way you could do volume. And so those are the details that you got to figure out. So we have no down payment, 10%, but we'll put 12% because we're just starting. Okay, so then now our maximum price that we can pay for this property, based on our actual numbers, is $130,229.
That's awesome.
And I will literally write it up that way.
Wow.
Down to the $229.
You know what I love about this too is I don't know if you've had conversations, but I can envision that as I'm talking to the seller, I'm saying, hey, you know, here's why I'm getting to this number. I'm not just blatantly throwing out a number and hoping that you accept it and I'm going to take advantage of you. You know, here's how I do business. Here's my numbers. I'll be very transparent with you. Here they are. I've got them right here on my phone. That way you know why I'm offering what I'm offering. Do you ever use that as a tool with the seller?
I do to an extent. I don't, you know, I won't go over exactly what I'm paying, but yeah, that's a good point. Like I'll tell them, did you know, I mean, I'm going to put $39,000 in here. You know, and a lot of times they don't realize that to sell it at what I need to make money. I mean, if you know, and sometimes sellers are unrealistic initially, you know, oh, you're trying to just get rich off of me. Well, I mean, $39,000 is not a small dollar amount. So once I get them to that, you know, get that buy-in, and I'm paying just like you would, I'm paying a commission fee. And I have so many other costs associated with this, and it all comes down, you know, off of the bottom line. And once I get them down to being realistic, that's a good point. They actually, it makes sense for them. So you're not just this sleazeball investor trying to get rich quick off of them. You're running a real business, and you're putting in real money.
Yep.
And I'll tell them, this is how I feed my family. I'm doing this full time, and this is how I feed my family.
Absolutely. Okay, so what I just want to recap really quick for the new person who's thinking, you know, how do I find all those? You mentioned going to the escrow company, the title company. They can help you with that. Or if you've got a really good realtor, they can help you find those numbers too. You put in a 10% repair cushion just in case things go wrong, which it sounds like happens more than not. And that's because you're good. You're a good steward, and we want other people to be good stewards of other people's money.
Yes.
This is not just play money. This isn't monopoly money. This is not only money; it's a reputation, and possibly someone that's going to fund your deals for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that you want to take seriously. And you know, there's a lot more costs than just the repair costs, and I think this is so cool to just see right there in front of it. Is there anything that you want to add about analyzing deals or this tool before we tell people how to get it?
So for this tool, I would just like to add that, you know, the breakdown would be, it'll tell you, so now you know cash required, you're going to need $50,371 to do this deal. Do you have it? If not, how are you going to get it? That's the question. So again, knowing those numbers, you're going to stroke over $1,000 a month in interest payments, calculate that and know that up front. And then, you know, it gives you your loan of values or ROIs and your yields.
And when you say cash required, you're talking about beyond the purchase price.
Beyond the purchase price. So that's rehab. We have $38,500 in rehab alone. and all the other costs. So that's the cash that is going to be required. Again, whether that's coming from you or you're actually getting an investor to put that up as well. Regardless, that's the amount you need. And then the last thing I'd like to share is this is really cool. People ask me, how do I work with private money investors, right? I'm starting out. Well, I can actually export this. I could upload the pictures of the property itself, a really nice professional summary, and a spreadsheet of everything that we just plugged in. And then you could email that to your investor or new investor and say, hey, if we were to work together, this is how my typical deal looks like, And so now you look like you spent hours doing this, and they appreciate that. You know your stuff. You're not just asking for their money.
Fearless Flippers, I want you to think about the competitive edge that this can give you with all the other people out there that are trying to get private money, showing that you are taking the time to do the numbers, you're not speculating, and that you've got it all laid out there. These investors usually want to know where is each penny, each dollar, each dime going towards in their investment, and this shows it perfectly rather than just shooting off an email and saying, hey, here's what it's going to cost, and here's what you're going to make. It's broken down. It's so cool. I love, if I'm an investor, I want to see this. So that's really awesome. Anything else you want to add before we tell them how to get it?
I think that's pretty much all that I would add. Again, this will allow you to basically, if you pre-populate all your numbers, you can spit out an offer within minutes. And not hours or days, and that's going to give you a huge competitive advantage, and you're going to be confident, like you said, about what you're actually doing. You're not guessing.
Absolutely. This has been so cool. I use a different deal analyzer. I think I'm going to switch over to this one because having that availability on your phone in an app is really cool. And by the way, we're not getting paid by this, and I know Valentin's not getting paid by it either. This is just a good overall tool. So we are going to put this in the show notes down below. If you listen to this while you're in the car, while you're in the shower, wherever you were, I really want to encourage you, go back to our YouTube channel, Fearless Flipping, and watch this episode again as Valentin walks us through how to use this tool so that you can see what he's using. But Valentin, if people have any more questions, I know on our last episode, which by the way, if you didn't get a chance to learn who Valentin was on our last episode, make sure to go do that. Where can people contact you?
So people can contact me direct to my cell phone, 559-495-8601. If you actually have a deal in place, and it's serious, and you need me to walk you through, give you a second pair of eyes, you're starting out, I'd be more than happy to do that. And you could reach out to me, email me at valentin@webuyhousesinfresno.com.
Perfect. And you can find him on Facebook, Valentin Pits. One more time on those numbers, 559-495-8601, and then email is Valentin, VALENTIN, @webuyhousesinfresno.com. Valentin, you are the man. Thank you so much for all this information. And any last words for our viewers?
Hey, no, thanks for having me on here. And just the whole point of this is just know your numbers. You could do this in an Excel spreadsheet if you need to, but plug in every number.
All right, awesome. Thanks for listening, Fearless Flippers. Remember, it is your time to go and conquer the real estate investing process. Have a good one. If you weren't blown away by that, I don't know what's going to, and if you're not adding that to your tool belt, I don't know why you're even watching this show, because that right there is one of the best tools that I can suggest that you add to your business. If you aren't already using some sort of deal analyzer, you might even want to switch over to that one. I know I'm going to, so make sure to check that out. Once again, the show notes are at fearlessflipping.com/Valentin Deal, VALENTINDEAL, or if you're watching on YouTube, go on down to the show notes down below. Once again, if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and check out the Fearless Flip episode that we did on YouTube with him, where he takes us straight through this entire project right here in Fresno. The before and afters are simply amazing. I think you're going to love it. And if you're not already, make sure to subscribe and check out our Instagram page, Fearless Flipping 316 on YouTube. All you got to do is just find Fearless Flipping. All right, so let's go out, conquer the real estate investing process. We'll see you next time.